Hey, everybody. Dave Hagan here. Today, we're going to talk about lowering bills and saving money, but more from a perspective of it coming from your heart and not your head. That's today on the Financial Wellness Podcast.
Welcome to the Financial Wellness Podcast, Dave's weekly message to keep you on your path to the financial success. Here is your host, financial problem solver and talk show host, Dave Hagan.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of TFWP. I'm Dave Hagan, coming to you live from Topanga, California. With me today, Nicholas Appel. Nick, down in San Diego, how you doing, my man?
Mr. Hagan, it's another week and another episode.
Brian's taking the week off. He'll be back with us next week. You know, I want to talk about lowering your bills, and I want to talk about saving money. That's all good stuff. But I also think it's more important if it comes from your heart and not your head. Remember a couple episodes ago, I said that one of the themes this year on TFWP is being personal finance, being more about your heart and not your head. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about and incorporate into what we're talking about today. So I'm looking around on the internet on how to lower bills, how to save money, because everybody that's into personal finance we'll come back to talking about that. That's certainly an element to all that we talk and do with respect to personal finance. So there were all these different ways in an article I saw recently about how to save money. And the first one was, hey, have a meal plan. Put together a meal plan for the week. Have we ever talked about that before, Nick?
I'm pretty sure we have, Dave.
Like all the time, right? Okay, that's easy, right? And we agree with that. Number two, make a shopping list. Well, of course, you're going to make a shopping list if you're going to eat on a meal plan. That makes sense. Number three, stick to the list. Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Here we go. Here's the guilt, right? It's like, oh, but what if someone says, let's go get a pizza? I'm starting to feel some angst. Another tip, look at the price per ounce. Do you ever do that, Nick? When you're in the store, the price per ounce?
Sometimes I do, but, I'm not going to BS it. Usually I don't, Dave.
Yeah.
Usually I don't.
I mean, if I'm looking at the generic brand against the brand name, sometimes I'll look at it. But yeah, but I don't want to get hung up on it. I don't want to go, well, a can of peas is 47 cents an ounce, and I'm not going to do that this week because it's too expensive. And I'm not going to do that. But if I'm making that last decision, and sometimes I just don't care. When I go to get mandarin oranges for a Chinese chicken salad, I want the good brand. I don't want the generic brand. I don't even care.
Right.
A lot of times I don't even look at the price, which is bad,
right.
bad. But sometimes I follow it. Another one, use ingredients wisely. Like put together something in your menu plan so that you're going to use your cottage cheese over 3 different meals.
Interesting.
I'm not that clever. How about you?
I do like to do that because I like to make chicken, but if I eat the same chicken just in the oven, I just get bored.
Yeah.
And so I like to make a bunch of chicken. I'll have it with like veggies. And then the other day I'll have it with like a stir fry. And then what I've been really into, Dave, maybe you might like this, is I'll make a baked potato. I'll put some cheese on it and then put some chicken on top of it. It's really good.
Oh, stop. You're killing me. Me. I'm getting hungry now. But now you're talking about, a meal plan, using ingredients multiple times. A lot of people aren't that proactive, they fly more by the seat of their pants. Here's another one. Drink a lot of water. Well, that's kind of a duh, right? But
yeah, but why is it so hard, Dave? Why is it so hard?
It's boring. It's just boring. It's like water. That's like the basics of the earth. It's just water, Another one, don't forget the leftovers. Well, now they're really scraping it. You're going to save money by leftovers. Yeah, we all try and do that. But if you're spending a lot of your time thinking about leftovers and ingredients in multiple meals and drinking so much water, it starts to get pretty temporal, you know? Another tip, quit restaurants. Well, we've talked about that many times. Not
Dave,
only
Dave, if you can, sorry to interrupt, if you can get me to a restaurant right now, I'm going to a restaurant. I'm sorry.
well, we're still coming out of the COVID thing and all
Yeah.
that. But no, I hear
In
what you're saying.
general.
I think I've been to a restaurant like maybe once in the last year or something, and that was for a breakfast outside.
Yeah, but
But
in general, I agree with you.
we've talked about that. Try and lessen going out and eating, and especially buying drinks with dinner. We talked about that in one of the podcasts. Um, it talks about turning off the lights and saving on showering and replacing the air filters and avoiding phantom loads in your apartment or your house. I mean, these are all good things, but boy, I wouldn't want to have to spend a whole bunch of my time thinking about it and sketching it out all day. The article went on to talk about, you know, downsizing. Well, always considering refinancing or renting out part of your home. I mean, all these things that you can do, but it's a lot to think about. It's a lot. It's a lot of don't do this, do without that. Um, be intentional when running errands and keep your tires properly inflated and sell your extra car and get rid of the car payment. Of course, we're all about that, getting rid of car payments here at TFWP. But again, it's coming from a place of find a way to do less, how to restrict yourself, how to impose more discipline. It talks about student loan refinancing. And well, of course, you should try and refinance your student loans. There's better places with better interest out there. Breaking up with debt, cutting up your credit cards, using coupons, going generic. We talked about that in the price per ounce. Stocking up on sale items. Yeah, that's great. During the pandemic here, there were a lot of people that must have been following this because I drove by down a street and the garage door was open on a house and the whole garage was full of toilet paper. What is that about? I don't know.
Anxiety.
Yeah. Make your own cleaners and reuse single items and try working out at home and cut back on streaming services. Yeah, this is all the stuff that we should do. But if you're trying to follow 30 or 40 of these do without, do less, I mean, it's kind of a bummer. I don't know that any of us are that disciplined or willing to deprive ourselves quite so much. So I've got a different thought on how to save money and save. And that would be deploy your capital according to your plan, thoughtfully and purposefully. Isn't that a lot easier than doing without all the other stuff? What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I agree with you. However, either this week or next week, I'm going against one of my principles. And that principle is to not spend more than $40 a month on a gym. And to some people, they're like, $40 a month, that's cheap. Other people are like, oh, $40 a month, that's expensive. But I've been without a gym for way too long. And I've put on the quarantine 15. I'm not ashamed to say it. But with that being said, I am going to spend $65 a month, likely next week or the week after, to go to get my subscription to a gym inside my office building. And like what you said earlier, to have a purpose. My purpose is, besides to get fit, I can go right before work. I can go right after work. And although I'm paying a premium, I know that when I come home, I can just relax. And I think it's going to be a big benefit for my life.
But aren't you going to make some allowances in other parts of your monthly spending plan so that the gym, the increased expenditure on the gym is proportionate?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that gets back to my point. It's much easier to look at this as deploying your capital in a thoughtful and meaningful way rather than 35 things that you can do to live on less.
Right.
Right? A plan, it seems to me, a plan comes from the heart. A plan springs from your values and your goals, like your gym. A plan comes from a place of abundance. A plan is fun. Cutting costs comes from a place of scarcity, it seems to me. It comes from a place of doing without. It comes from a place of making do with less. It comes from a place of, well, just cutting costs. It's not fun. That's why here at the TFWP, we don't like budgets. Everyone says that's the number one searched topic in personal finance: budget, how to get on a budget. I don't like budgets. Budgets are like diets. As soon as you're on a budget or a diet, you're hungry. But if you have a spending plan, now you're talking. Now you're doing it the way you want to do it. Now you're doing it in a way that's integrated with who you are. That's exciting because you make progress towards your goal, and that progress by itself is enlightening. It's a pat on the back. It's kind of like it's kind of like, the half empty, half full scenario, I suppose. I suppose it's how you look at it, But I think this also relates back to, what we said was going to be one of the themes of this year on the TFWP, and that is personal finance is more about the heart and less about the head. Think about it: saving, spending, investing. It's about the heart. It's not about the head. We can help people with the head part. You can read a book, you can listen to TFWP, you can hire a financial advisor or coach, which I think everybody should. Or you can even have someone invest your money. But without heart, without being invested fully in the goals, and those goals springing out of from who you are, I just think it's really hard to do. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. And, going back to something that both you and I discussed is do something with a purpose. If you want to, you want to save money, go to the market and see how much things are per ounce. Go save it. Go put it in an emergency fund. Go do something with it. If you're not feeling too happy with yourself, maybe you thought you gained a lot, some weight, not a lot, just some weight, be mindful and go join a gym. And I think what really hindered me from joining a gym, talked about personal finance, is part of my apartment is I pay for a gym, but because we are not in the requisite tier to open up the gym here, I'm paying for this gym. And I'd rather eat the cost and still get fit. And in turn, I think that will help me in the future, and it'll help me make better decisions.
Sure. But it's coming from your heart. You want to do it because of who you are, not because someone's saying, "Oh, you got to get by with 15 less pounds, man."
No, exactly. Right? It's coming from your heart. Right. It's because it's what you really care about. Right. And then when you, it might be tangential, Dave, so I'm sorry, but when you look at yourself in the mirror and just be happy with who you are, sure, your heart's going to be more full.
Yeah, your heart's going to be getting it. I've seen these people working out in their home, and they've got like paint cans full of sand, and that's like their weights and stuff. And they're going, "Look, you can do all of this without the fancy gym." And but you're doing push-ups on a dirty kitchen floor, and you're lifting, cans full of sand. It's not the same. It's not the same. So if getting to the gym is what's going to get it done and get you the goals, that's fine. But again, only because it's integrated with all of your monthly spend. It's part of your plan, right?
Right.
Years ago, I was on a radio show, and these two guys were just peppering me with questions about, bankruptcy and personal finance, and we had talked about, in a general way, some questions before the show started, but they really helped hit me with something as we were winding up the show. And they said, well, Dave, if you could only give someone one piece of advice on personal finance, what would it be? And it really kind of caught me off guard because, Nick, we have a 5-step process to get to financial wellness, to get to financial success. And there's so many different things that we talk about that are elements of that. So it really caught me off guard. And I thought about it for just a second, and I blurted out, have a plan. Have a plan, have it come from the heart, and have a plan, because the chances of you being successful are so much greater when it's a plan, not when you're trying to do without or limit yourself. So if nothing else, this is one of the ways that we're going to talk about this year, the fact that it's more about your heart and not about your head. I remember someone sent us an email a while back, and I think we answered it on the air, and they said, I'm just really not into this. I just can't dig this. I don't get this. What should I do? And my response was, don't do it. Don't do it until it's coming from your heart, because if your head keeps telling you should do it, you're not going to do it. You're going to limit its effect. You're going to limit your drive to proceed on that. And at the end of the day, you're not going to be nearly as successful as you really, could be. Hey, look, everybody. Look who just jumped into the call. It's Brian Reed. Mr. Reed, how are you?
Is this thing on?
Brian just came by to say hello at the end of the show. It's good to see you, man.
It's good to see all your shiny, happy faces as well. Did I miss
Hey,
anything
Brian.
good?
Of course you missed a whole bunch of stuff. What are you talking about?
Ooh, I can't wait to listen.
There you go. There you go. Listen in. Stay tuned, right?
Exactly.
So, Brian, we were talking about lowering bills and saving money as opposed to deploying your capital according to the plan that you have, and how it's a lot more meaningful and fun to pursue a plan and deploy your capital as opposed to always trying to lower bills and do with less. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, as we've always said, you've got to manage both sides of the equation. But if you can deploy your resources better and get your money, working for you, then, amen to that.
No.
Compound interest.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, more about the heart than the head. We can teach the head part through podcasts, through all the different things, books. What did we say? The Intelligent Investor, and we had the Dividend Hunter, and all these places where you can get this knowledge, and all these articles online where you can learn to do without and do with less and save money. But it's more exciting. I think it's more powerful if it's part of your plan, deploying your cap. I love this idea, and I stole this term from Warren Buffett. Deploying your capital. He talks about deploying his capital, which is investors' money. But if you are talking about deploying your own personal capital, I think you're going to do it in a much more thoughtful and purposeful way.
Doesn't it kind of make you feel like a general or something?
Like it kind of does, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, you're deploying your troops. Yeah, and your dollars are your troops.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people are going to say, you know what? This is just a yes man thing. Dave's getting everyone to go, yes, no, I want to do that. Yes.
Oh, Dave.
But I think it really is more like being a general, thoughtfully moving in a direction where you want to go. I don't know. It just seems like that to me. All right. I think that's a wrap. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Thanks for
You got it,
dropping
Dave.
by there, Brian. As always, Nick, appreciate both of you guys coming by and also, Brian at the last minute. No emails today. I think we've used up our time. This is Dave Hagan, and you've been listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast.
You've been listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast, Dave's weekly message to keep you on your path to financial success. If you have a question that you would like Dave to answer on the podcast, go to thefinancialwellnesspodcast.com. You can leave an audio message with one click of a button, or type your message into the question box. Either way, it's sent right to Dave's phone. Remember, Dave will randomly draw from the submitted questions and pick the winner of a free 1-hour personal conversation with Dave to help you achieve your financial goals. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you receive the new episode notifications, or share the podcast via the app with your family and friends. This is your announcer, Nick Appel, wishing you every financial success.